do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Hey there, Internet, and happy Halloween. Welcome back to the InTalksicated podcast. This is a podcast where I typically have my friends on, and we talk about life over a couple drinks. This week's a bit different. This week, I have two very, very special guests on the podcast. Super excited for this one because it is in the spirit of Halloween. I did want to do something super cool for you guys, and something that I'm actually extremely interested in. One thing I will admit on the show right here and now is that I do have a guilty pleasure for any type of paranormal investigation show. Specifically, Ghost Adventures is my guilty pleasure. I'm a little bit obsessed. I just love anything paranormal or spooky or weird or creepy. So I've always been interested in paranormal investigations. This week I was so lucky to have Earl and Darcy from Paranormal Investigations Nova Scotia. They also run the Facebook group Haunted Nova Scotia. So there's two places where you can find these guys and see what they're up to. It is super cool. They do a lot of investigations here locally around Nova Scotia, and they know a lot about the subject. They've been doing this for a very long time. So I was lucky enough to have them over last week to record. In this episode, we learn all about paranormal investigating. We talk a lot about spirits, the different experiences that Earl and Darcy has had that have kind of gotten them to this point of being paranormal investigators. So it was really, really super cool. And I learned a lot. And we even did an investigation in my apartment near the end for a little bit of the podcast. We do actually run some of the equipment in my apartment, and it is super duper duper cool. I really do hope to have these guys back on. So if you did enjoy this, and if this is something that interests you guys, please let me know, because I will certainly do more of this. In terms of my Halloween, I actually just got back from Toronto, where I saw Katy Perry live on Halloween night, and I am still reeling from the high of it. We actually got upgraded to the drop zone, which is like the front row section of her concert. It was essentially the best night of my life. I can't even begin to describe how fun it was and how amazing it was. I'll probably do a podcast about it at some point. That's how good it was. So be sure to check out Paranormal Investigations Nova Scotia and Haunted Nova Scotia on Facebook. If you are interested in this, those are two awesome places to go if you are interested in this type of thing. And as always, make sure you are subscribed on iTunes and Google Play, wherever you find podcasts. Make sure you check out InTalksicated Reviews as well. That's a second channel we have, hosted by Corey. He does an awesome job of bringing you really awesome TV and movie recaps and reviews. And he's getting a lot of stand-up comedians on his channel. So it's really awesome. Make sure you are subscribed to InTalksicated Reviews. Can like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at Intoxicated Podcast. We are on Twitter at @in_toxicated. We have a website, www.intoxicatedpodcast.com. Now let's get to the show. All right, everyone. Well, welcome back to the InTalksicated Podcast. I'm really, really, really excited to have Earl Laddie and Darcy O'Neill from, and it's Maritime...
It's Paranormal Investigations Nova Scotia.
Paranormal Investigations Nova Scotia. And they're here today to talk about just that, paranormal investigating. So... welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. So we are actually drinking some Propeller Pumpkin Ale in the spirit of Halloween. It's next week, so I'm getting in the spirit. So let's bring it in for a cheers, if we can.
Yes, definitely.
To get it going.
Perfect.
Yeah. I actually really like this. I'm not normally a beer person, but I enjoy it.
No, it is quite good.
It's good, yeah.
So welcome. So,
thank you.
First question for you guys. How did this company start?
I've always been interested in the paranormal. And when I moved back home to Nova Scotia, I got on Facebook and I wanted to see just how many people in Nova Scotia were interested in ghost stories. Our main Facebook group is Haunted Nova Scotia. It's got a little over 15,000 members right now. And
gonna be posting in that group this episode.
And once it really caught on and I saw how popular it was, I started to meet people from Haunted Nova Scotia for coffee, and we started kind of going out investigating places that, like cemeteries and places that are open to the public. And we realized that we had a really good group of people, so we decided to turn it into a business to get it registered. We're insured, and Darcy and I have been working together for 5 years doing this.
Yeah. And Darcy told me before we started, you're a butcher.
I'm actually a butcher by trade, yes.
Butcher by trade, and Earl here is in school for TV, radio, and journalism.
Yes, I am at Waterfront Campus.
How did those two meet? How did you guys meet? You're like...
we actually met, my wife was at the time Earl's dating my wife's cousin. So this is where the connection kind of started. I was talking to her one day about ghosts and, paranormal and things happening and that. And she said, have you talked to Earl? And I said, no, why? And she said, well, he's on the same lines you are. And I said, and then a light bulb clicked in. And I was like, well, I know who I'm going to be talking to next.
We're going to hang out.
Yeah.
We're going to have some talks.
So I went and met up with Earl one day. We were chatting that, and he was telling me, Darcy, I started this Haunted Nova Scotia. I'm looking to start, paranormal investigations Nova Scotia. What do you think? And I thought,
yes,
I am game. That's all there is to it. Yeah, let's go. Let's do this, yeah.
So, how many people on your team in total?
We have 11 members right now. And that allows us to go to different places on the same night. Like team members some might be in Amherst, some might be in the city. If we get a lot of requests, I can decide, okay, who's off work on a certain day? Can you go do this for me? Right. So yeah, we cover a lot of distance. All of the members of my group are extremely professional. Darcy and I have known them for years. We're all very, very close friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and basically, I think we've always stayed right around the 10-member, 11-member level.
It's a good amount.
Yeah, nice
Not
and
too
small.
big.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just big enough to cover ground.
Exactly.
But small enough to stay intimate and stay...
Everybody knows each other. Yeah, exactly. And everybody's close friends, so...
And so if someone wanted to join your team, do you and let's just say they literally just have an interest in ghosts. They just have the interest. Would you train them? Like, you'd obviously train them in all the equipment and everything.
We do, and I'm also going to be training some of my members in editing soon so that they can help out with that. But yeah, people can reach out to us and say, and people often do, how do I join? And basically, through the winter months, we're not as busy as the summer. I don't like to have investigators out on bad roads or, you never know when a storm's going to kick up. So
true.
But yeah, and basically, if somebody's interested in joining us, I meet them with another team member and we just sit down and have a beer or a coffee and talk to them and they can get a read for what we do and we can get an impression on what they're all about. And our main thing is just for people, new members, to realize that it's not like TV and you don't always get evidence.
Yes! Yeah. That was something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's kind of maybe like a stigma attached to paranormal investigators where people are just like, oh, they're making something out of every little noise. And it's like, no. And paranormal investigators, they're investigators. So like, it's your kind of job to figure out, was that the wind or was that something else?
Exactly.
Like, you kind of have to, because like I watch, you guys are going to laugh, Ghost Adventures, which is one of the big shows on TV. And it is very like, there are lots of frills and lots of editing and lots of reenactments and stuff, and it kind of gets away from the meat and potatoes of paranormal investigating, which is like, sometimes you're not going to find anything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but that's why that's why it's really neat, because it's kind of combining like a science, dare I say, or like the technical side of things.
I would say for sure there'd be a science to it because you have to take in consideration, if you're going to a building and you're looking at it, you can take in consideration the engineering of the building, what year the building was built, what's the history behind the building. So it's all, I would say a combination of history and, and science to put it all together.
Technical too.
Yeah.
Yes,
the technical side of things. Because as paranormal investigators, like, you must have a belief of ghosts, but at the same time, you're going to debunk stuff.
We do.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And that's what I love about it. Because it's not like you guys are total, like, oh, everything is a ghost.
Yeah.
It's like you're in between a skeptic and a full believer.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. You're kind of in the middle.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I fall. Which leads me to my next question, which is, I guess, where did the interest come from? Did you guys have any experiences that kind of made you all of a sudden be interested in this world? Like, ooh, you're smirking.
Yeah,
He's smirking. I love this.
You want to go first?
Ooh,
I grew up in a haunted house. My parents just sold it, but it was a farmhouse, and it was over 200 years old. And the first thing that I really remember noticing, I was probably about 8 or 9, and my bedroom light would come on or off. But it wasn't like the bulb flickering. I could actually watch a switch go down or turn or come up. And at the time, my sister is a year older than me, and she had similar things happening. Now, at the time, because we were young, my parents, of course, said, no, it's just your imagination.
Yeah.
But when I really started getting involved in this and it turned into a business, my parents were interested in what I was doing, and then they both admitted that, yes, like, we always knew that there was a few odd things going on here and that the house was haunted. But you and your sister being young, we didn't want to frighten you, so we just always said, it's your imagination. It's an old house. So, and yeah, ever since then, I've just been completely fascinated with it.
And how old were you at that time?
About 8, I would say. Old enough to know, no.
Something's off.
Yeah, like to tell them, no, Mom and Dad, like, I actually saw the light switch go down. It's not like the light bulb just flickered. I heard it and saw it click down.
Saw it go down. That's so crazy. Did you ever find out anything about your house, like what happened before you lived there, or anything like that? Not
really. I think it was just past relatives relatives in the past have died in my parents' house. And interestingly enough, my father's father, who passed away in the house, was absolutely terrified of the upstairs, and he was a very strict, no-nonsense religious man. But I found this out when they told me, yes, we did know it was haunted. Apparently, he would never go upstairs in his own house because, in his own words, he was scared of the ghost up there.
Oh my God.
And this was from a gentleman that, didn't believe in anything like this, and very, very staunchly religious, but in his own home, he refused to go in certain areas of it. So that's pretty cool.
That is really cool, because that's kind of something I always think about when I think about people who are hardcore skeptics. I know a couple of them. They're probably listening right now. I'm not. Like, I've always just believed in that. But just the idea of, like, why are you so skeptical? Like, is it because you don't want to believe that things might be lingering on this earth? Like, you want so firmly to believe that there's something after death that, like, you die and you go there and that's
exactly, yeah.
But you don't really want to face the fact that there might be energy still lingering.
Exactly, and we're all made up of energy, and I think Darcy would agree with me that energy can stay here, especially in cases where somebody died tragically and very suddenly. Mm-hmm. We've gotten into investigations where we believe that the spirit that we are communicating with doesn't know that he's dead.
Right.
It just happens so quickly. And we have worked with CTV for Halloween episodes in the past, and the first year that we worked with them, we went to the Five Fishermen, and which used to be Snow's funeral home, and after the Halifax explosion, as well as the sinking when the Titanic went down, a lot of the bodies were brought to Snow's funeral home. Wow. On one of our audio feeds, Suzette Beliveau, who's a reporter for CTV, and Darcy were asking, who are we talking to? And in that audio clip, you can hear, it's Drake. A male voice say, it's Drake. So Suzette Beliveau researched that, And William Drake was a 21-year-old man who died in a Halifax explosion. And his remains were sent to Snow's funeral home. And where Darcy and Suzette were sitting doing an EVP session was the exact spot where his body would have been prepared.
No!
And that was something that Suzette, who did believe in this, but was very much, I need to see concrete proof, sent me a message and told me this. And like I told her, that's about as real as you can get in terms of verifying it.
Damn. And I, like, that's one of the places that I always hear about.
Yeah.
When I hear about haunted Halifax is the Five Fishermen. And the Henry House, too. That's another one.
Yeah, the Henry House on Barrington Street,
yeah. I mean, like, Halifax is just loaded with these older buildings that have so much history attached to them.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
It's crazy.
And when you think about it, too, with the explosions, how, like, all of those people would have died so suddenly and so tragically that they wouldn't, if their energy is still around, they might not know where they are or what happened to them.
They might be confused. And listen, The Sixth Sense, they were onto something with Bruce Willis.
They were.
Yeah, they were.
It's not just a twisty plot line. There's actually legit stuff with that. So what about you? What experience did you have that kind of made you interested in it?
Probably, like I said, probably at a young age.
Yeah.
Probably about 8 or 9. Things started happening, you know. Not necessarily at my mom and dad's house. It was pretty quiet there, but just things, like as I say things, I mean as people were coming to me, which I had no idea who they were. You know, I mean, I seen a couple of my relatives. That
you actually saw?
I've actually saw people, like full blown people.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Three that actually stick out in my mind is one. I was with my mother, and my mother, I believe my mother has kind of the same sense I got. That's you know, ability to talk and see people outside the regular norm that other people can't. So we were going down the road, down in Toronto, down Roby Street. We parked by the cemetery. We were leaving the mall, and we looked across the street. And when we looked across the street, we see my grandfather walking down Cemetery Road, and he had a pair of blue jeans on, blue plaid shirt, and black loafers. And the weird part was he was passed away for 6 months. After we seen him was through, he was dead for 6 months when me and my mother both looked and
you both saw him at the same time.
We both saw him at the same time, and it was almost like time stopped still.
Clear as day, too. Like, looked like just a normal person walking down the street?
Just like a normal person walking down the street.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then another one happened when I was at my brother's house. We were at his house there one night, and we were sitting there talking that, and he went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I was in the living room. And how it was, we looked in the living room, and his bedroom was on towards the end of the living room. So as I'm looking up, I see an older gentleman in a white dress shirt, t-shirt, dress shirt, sweater vest, and tan pants looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I have no idea who he was. He just stared at me, and I stared back at him for about what seemed to be an eternity, which was probably only about 2 or 3 seconds.
Right.
And then I put my head down, looked back up, and he was gone.
That was my next question, like, if you actually see people vanish, or if it's just kind of like you look away and then you look back and they're gone.
Yeah, it's pretty well look back and then they're gone.
That is so have you ever seen anything, or have you just, like, any people, like figures?
Yes, I have, and a lot of the time on investigations we've seen what commonly is referred to as shadow people, just jet black figure, and I've seen that quite a bit. There's a spot in Lower Truro that we go that very negative piece of land. We don't know quite why. It's very hard to find a history on this land, but we've seen shadow people all over that property, and they usually just stand and watch us. Darcy and I both throughout this have been fascinated with a cemetery in East Hants County, which is where I grew up. And again, very negative vibe there. And we've both seen shadow people. You'll just look, and they're standing there, and they're just completely jet black, and they're just watching us. And you always get the feeling that they're negative. Now, I don't know if they're always negative, because the way our vision works, if we notice something that's not in the light spectrum that we view the world in, it wouldn't have any color to us. It would just appear jet black. So if it was in the ultraviolet realm or the infrared realm of light, if it was moving, we would see it, but there wouldn't be any color to it because we couldn't attribute color to that. And actually, young children often, parents will tell us, like, my baby's watching something. Children are born with the ability to see a little ways into the ultraviolet realm, and it quickly deteriorates because as soon as we start aging, our vision deteriorates almost when we're toddler on. But it's always in the peripheral vision is where this film that babies have on their eyes is. And some people retain a little bit of that, and that's why a lot of people will say, I always see something out of the corner of my eye, but when I turn to face it dead on, it's not there. And that's because you're changing the position of your head. You're looking, so your peripheral is no longer facing what you saw. So of course you're not going to see it.
Happens to me all the time.
And that's why babies are often Darcy has 3 children, and his son is actually, I would say, naturally gifted, sensitive at least right now.
Really?
And I've talked to him about what he's seen, and children are very in tune to this, and I think it's a combination of their vision and that ability that they're born with deteriorating, as well as some parents always saying, it's your imagination, there's no such thing as this, just ignore it. And there's nothing wrong with that because often children are frightened. But I think it's more important to listen to what your child is saying and make sure they're not frightened. Now, in Darcy's son's case, he was more curious than anything.
Yeah.
And your son's 6?
7.
And he described the people that he was seeing better than some people my age would describe it. And I simply told him along with Darcy, does it frighten you? And he said, no, I just don't know why I'm seeing them. And we are kind of coaching him through just, okay, if it's not frightening you, then, it's probably a past relative that might be looking in on you. So, and Darcy's a great dad, and he always keeps me up to date, making sure that, what Landon's seeing isn't scaring him.
Yeah.
That's important.
Oh, yes, for sure, yeah. Damn. Yeah, so it was the house I live at now. A lot of stuff has happened there. This is where, going back to Landon telling me, Dad, I'm seeing people in my room. I'm talking to people. I believe him because I know I've seen stuff in that house myself. One night I was getting ready to go to work at a security job I do too on the side. I was shaving downstairs and I seen a woman walk by my bathroom door, and I thought it was my wife. So I said, Lisa, are you down here? And she said, no, I'm upstairs. And I said, okay. She said, why? I said, I'm just wondering.
Because I just saw you walk by me.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was a woman walk right by.
I've heard that that's also a common thing. Seeing people that in real life, that aren't dead, almost like apparitions of them. Is that a common thing? Because a friend of mine told me a similar story where she was at home with her brother and saw her mom walk by. And her mom was in town at the time and wasn't home.
That's interesting because we do a lot of public events, and we're a non-profit group, so we do a lot of fundraising, and we go to Lewisburg every summer.
Yeah.
And one of my newer members, her name's Tracy, she's an absolutely amazing investigator. She wasn't part of the group at the time, and you just got a kill, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Something moved past me, too. But,
wait, whoa, what?
Just a bit of a chill.
Did you pick up on something in this apartment?
It could be the topic that we're talking about.
Okay.
Or it could be something else.
I got too excited.
But anyway, when we do these events at Lewisburg, people can camp out or they can sleep in some of the buildings in Lewisburg. And Tracy and her son slept in the barracks of the King's Bastion at Lewisburg.
Nope.
We run the show in partnership with Parks Canada, so we know where people are sleeping. And Darcy and I stay up all night and just wander the fortress to make sure that if people want to investigate, they can come with us. It's also a safety thing. We know the place like the back of our hands, so if people are lost, which you can get lost there, it's very, very dark at night. Yeah. So we were wandering around, and the next morning, Tracy said, I saw you and Darcy in the barracks at 2 a.m. And I talked to Darcy, and I said, we realized we were about 1.5 kilometers away at that time. And we also didn't go into the barracks once people went to bed, because we realized that people had to get on the road in the morning and drive home. We didn't want to wake them. What Tracy saw, as well as 3 other people, were the exact duplicates of Darcy and I, walking slowly through the barracks with our heads down, and then out the other door. And that same night, Parks Canada staff thought they saw, and swear to this day, they saw Darcy and I sitting on the seawall, which is about 7 feet high, looking out at the ocean. And they were quite concerned, because on the other side of the seawall is probably about a 15-foot drop down to the rocks, because the tide was out, and it would be very easy to slip and fall. And we found out what time it was that they saw this. And again, we were at the other end of the fortress. One other thing happened that night. There's an administration building. We don't investigate in there because there's so much computer equipment that we would never be able to use our gear to get an accurate reading, if anything, because the computers would be setting it off. So the building was locked, and a group that was wandering around, it was probably midnight, saw Darcy in that building walking up the stairs. So they tried to go in the building thinking, okay, they're doing investigating in there. Cool, I want to go in. And the building was locked, of course, and then we had to tell them afterwards, we have never, in all of our years of being there, have never gone in that building.
No.
Damn!
So we can't really explain that, but with that many people telling us, no, we saw this, we can't just say it's, one person maybe making up a story, because we heard that from a lot of different people.
Yeah.
There's strength in numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
And the first time we did a public event up there, me and her our team together, we were going up, walking up through the King's Basin area. We were coming down the back. There was a lady with us, and she kept saying to us, we got to leave. And I kept telling her, we'll leave in a few minutes. I just want to finish up this recording right now. And she kept saying, no, we got to leave now. He's getting mad. And I said, who's getting mad? She's like, the King's getting mad. And I said, well, you know what? The King's going to get mad because I'm going to finish this. Right?
He can wait.
Yeah. So we wrapped it all up. She said, well, I'm leaving. I'll wait downstairs. We're like, okay. So I wrapped everything up. We came downstairs. Me and Earl kind of walked down. Earl was on the bottom step, and I was on probably the 3rd step from the bottom. And all of a sudden, what sounded to me, and you heard it yourself.
I did,
you turned around, looked at me and said, are you okay? And I said, you heard that too? He said, are you all right? Did you fall? I said, no, I did not fall. What it sounded like to me, and after I explained it to him, both of us agreed, it sounded like a pair of work boots going down the hardwood floors, like stairs.
Wow.
And it was coming after us, like it was pushing me out. And as soon as I get down to the bottom of the stairs, I looked at her, I was like, there's something here, I gotta go. It was just totally.
Have either of you ever been shoved or touched, or has anything physical ever touched you? You get chills and you get temperature feelings and stuff like that all the time, I imagine.
Yeah.
But the feeling of an arm on you, or someone pushing you.
We both had our shirts pulled. We've both been pushed. Gear that's in our pocket has turned on, like a flashlight. We'll feel a tug on our pocket, and all of a sudden the flashlight, whatever's in our pocket, will turn on. But yeah, both of us have physically felt things, and as have people that go to our events. Some of them are completely thrilled because it's validation, and there's some people that get quite frightened by it as well, because they're not expecting anything to happen. Do
you get any skeptical people that come out with you and walk away not skeptics anymore?
We do. And, we love skeptics. I think they keep us honest as investigators.
Yeah, very true.
But yes, Darcy had somebody come up to him that told him after an event in Truro that he was a non-believer up until that event, and something happened that Darcy can describe that completely changed his mind.
So what we do is what a lot of people probably, if you watch ghost shows, you see the light communication where they turn the flashlight off and on. Well, I use that quite a bit in my investigating. So I was with the guy, and I could just tell his body language didn't want to be there. His wife was excited. He was just being a downer, I don't want to do this. So I said to him, listen, I can guarantee I can change you into a believer real quick. And he said, you haven't even gotten to the, I'm getting chills already. Okay. And he said, He said, if you can do that, he said, you make me a believer. And I said, all right. So I turned on a mag light, which most people know, if you've been around mag lights, they turn on and off. That's it.
Right. And so you turn the light on.
No, I turn it off.
You turn it off.
I turn it off. Yeah.
Ask questions.
I'll ask, if there's any ghosts around here, can you please turn the light on? I'll wait probably, 3 or 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. And usually within the first minute, I get a response. Mm-hmm. I'll get the flashlight will slowly dim on.
Oh my God.
And then as I asked it, the light dimmed on. And I'm looking at the other guy that was telling me he's not a believer, and his eyes are just like this, okay. So it lasted about probably 10 minutes of this light communication off and on. So at the end of it, I said to the gentleman, I said, you believe it or not? He said, well, he said, yeah, you got more questions than I get answers for you now. And I said, so you believe her? He said, well, you got me working towards it now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
It's almost like it reminds me of like animals are always attracted to people who aren't animal people.
Yeah.
Exactly. They can tell if you're not like cats. Will like go up to like people who hate cats and like rub up against them. It's like that with ghosts too.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to go back to is the shadow people thing, because I have a question for you. Because when I was kind of telling you over Facebook about what I experienced in this apartment, do you think that there is a link from sleep paralysis and the paranormal? Because I experienced sleep paralysis a lot.
Okay.
And with that, I experienced the shadow people. Like I've seen dark figures in my room all the time. And I've always just been like, oh, it was probably sleep paralysis.
Okay.
But a part of me is like, was it?
Well, I can show you something first, and you can tell me if this is anything that you've seen.
Oh, stop! Oh my God, don't! Oh my God! That's terrible. Not the hat. I've never seen the person with the hat, but and he's in a doorway, right?
No, this depiction of a shadow person that I have tattooed on me.
It's terrifying.
Has been seen all over the world by thousands of people.
So many people see it.
And sleep paralysis, the term, and I believe it originated from Newfoundland, is old hag syndrome.
The old hag, yeah. Mm-hmm.
People sense things in the room. Some people see them in the room. Some people see an old decrepit woman holding them down. But I think, with sleep paralysis, I think it varies case by case, because some people, sleep paralysis doesn't have to be tied to the paranormal. And,
right.
Like when we go to sleep, our brain is a mechanism that stops us from acting out our dreams so that we're not, killing ourselves in our sleep if we have a dream about running or anything.
Right.
And sometimes when we wake up, we get, some people get locked in a state where their body is still paralyzed slightly, but they are exiting REM sleep, so they can look around a little bit, even if it's moving their eyes. Now, I think for the people that see the same thing, that thousands of people see across the world when this happens to them, I think that, that is a paranormal event. I'd like to hear, a specialist explain why people are seeing, the same thing. Why aren't they seeing different things? Now, it's usually with sleep paralysis, if they see something and they feel that it's paranormal, it's either a decrepit old lady, or it's what I just showed you, which is commonly called Hat Man, a shadow person that always has a wide-brimmed hat on. And people that do see him always report that they get a very negative feeling and that he's mocking them. That he finds what they're going through in the sleep paralysis amusing. And this is reported all over the world by thousands of people. And so, to answer it definitely can be paranormal. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
The main thing, like if somebody contacted me through my website or through Haunted Nova Scotia, I would ask, do you see anything or sense anything? And it's something I've never experienced, and I never want to. I know I've talked to a lot of people that go through it, and it can definitely ruin their lives. People are afraid to go to sleep sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say that another thing I get a lot of too is night terrors, which is a whole other thing. But since moving to this apartment, I get it way more frequently. Like, it happens, I get what I call, like, little mini night terrors, almost, like, on a weekly basis.
Okay.
Which is, like, I'll be falling asleep, and all of a sudden, and it's, it's right before you're in a really deep sleep, usually, is when it happens. And I experience two things. I experience the shadows, the figures. Sometimes they'll even look like bugs in my bed, which is really, really weird. But the other thing I experience is voices. And that's where it gets creepy for me.
Okay.
And that's where it gets like, because I looked it up and I was like, night terrors in adults, and everything is like mental illness. And I'm like, I don't know. It's really common in kids. Yeah. But I hear a male voice a lot.
Okay.
And it doesn't sound like English to me. Like, I never remember what it's saying, but usually it'll be a couple words, and then I'll jerk myself out of whatever sleep state I was in. I don't even know if it was asleep. Like, I don't even know if I was fully asleep. And that's why I'm always questioning, like,
okay,
what is this?
Yeah.
Because apart from that, I've had cupboard doors open. I've never seen them open, like you said, with your light switch. Yeah. But I've looked over or I've heard creaking, and then I've looked and seen things open. I've had water glasses. I have 2 water glasses on my side tables that I leave out for my cat. And she's the most well-mannered cat ever. She never knocks stuff over. I've had those tip over in the night. I woke up once to my lights fully on.
Okay.
Like, I woke up and my lights were on. And people are like, oh, you might have sleepwalked. Like, maybe you got up and turned them on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never sleepwalked before. I mean, I guess how can you know if you live alone, if you're sleepwalking? Yeah. That's actually a good point. But stuff like that. And then also back to the cat thing, which is my cat freaks out all the time in here. And I know that cats do that. Mm-hmm. But this is like consistent.
Okay.
Like, on a nightly basis, something will spook her and she'll run around this apartment. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I just know that, like, I've never experienced so much in one apartment. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I it's a feeling. So that leads to my next question. You guys are investigators, so you're very much, you get the evidence, you do the tests and everything. Yeah. Do you get feelings ever when you walk into places? Like, do you ever walk into a place and you're just like, there's something going on in here?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've walked into places, with Earl and just said, listen, man, I get my gears together.
Yeah, you gotta get going.
Yeah, and he's just like, what are you talking about? I was like, man, I've walked into places, been perfectly fine.
Right.
And walked in with a bad migraine. I don't even get migraines.
Yeah.
I get pounding headaches. I'll leave the room or I'll leave the place I'm at, come back in. As soon as I leave, the headache's gone.
Damn.
I'll go back in. Boom,
it's just like the energy field.
Yeah, just the energy is so strong in that certain spot.
Right.
There's places where it's just, Lewisburg I find is quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of the spots up there, I guess, I've seen, he's probably seen me, get upset, not physically like mad, just completely break down and like start crying and sobbing and that for no apparent reason.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen that happen on different shows too.
Yeah.
Like the investigators get really emotional.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I gotta leave. I feel this sadness coming on. And I usually feel it before it gets to the point where I'm going to break down. Mm-hmm. I usually feel like it's almost like taking a blanket and covering yourself.
Right.
That's what I get, that feeling. And that's what I'll usually tell her, listen, I gotta go for a second.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And do you still see people?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how often would you say that you see people?
Probably. Usually I see, like, a lot of people when we're investigating that.
Yeah.
Like I said, usually I probably say on a year basis, probably 2 to 3 a year.
Right.
Yeah.
That's still pretty high.
Yeah.
That's still pretty high. What was my other question? My other question was like, do you think that, and this could just be like, it could be half and half, but do you think that spirits are more attached to people or places? Like, in other words, like graveyards, people are buried there.
Yeah.
But I've never been in a graveyard and felt like feelings like I would if I walked into that person's home or where that person worked, or do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I truly feel like they hang around where they lived. Mm-hmm. But Are graveyards just as crazy in terms of activity?
They can be. It depends. Yeah. It's the same as anything. It depends on the location, but graveyards also experience a lot of high human emotion, like grief, things like that. And we've found that if there is something hanging around a graveyard, it's usually quite negative. It's almost like I said, shadow people. And it's almost like that negative energy is drawn to anywhere where there's a lot of high human emotion, like I said, grief and sorrow, like a graveyard. Some people are naturally gifted, and they always think that every place they live is haunted, but they're just picking up on different energy fields. Right. So it might not be the location that's haunted. They're just always aware that a certain energy field or spirit might be close to them or attracted to them for whatever reason.
Yeah, I've always felt I've been more on the... because I've never seen a clear ghost. Like, a clear... I've seen shadow people and all that. But, I get more feelings.
Okay.
Yeah. If I walk into a place and just something feels... I went to school at St. Bex in Antigonish. I'm from Antigonish.
Okay.
So there's two things I want to bring up with this, which is, number one, is that St. Bex is really haunted. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever investigated there, but you should.
We have, yeah.
I lived in the res that was the haunted one, Mount St. Bernard, which is where people said that they saw a blue nun. Because the nun, I guess, back in the day, had an affair with a priest, and then was so torn up over it, she killed herself. That was the most terrifying place I've ever lived. It's old, and you would just feel like you were being watched. And I never really experienced anything other than that feeling of something isn't right here.
Yeah.
But also, have you ever heard of the Mary Ellen Spook ghost story?
Yes.
Oh, that one creeps me out so much. I don't know why. I don't know why I have such a I think it's just because I'm from that area.
Yeah.
I know that there's nothing remains of that.
The foundation
place.
does.
Yeah, have you guys ever done it?
Earl has. I have
twice.
You did? Oh my god.
Part of the legend is that you can't take anything from the foundation, which I did, and it's actually currently my favorite paperweight.
What did you take?
I took a piece of the barn foundation.
Darcy's shaking his head over it. I would have never done that.
Never.
But no, it's currently in my study. I've used it as a paperweight ever since I've gotten it. Nothing negative has happened. I've been out to the Mary Ellen Spook Farm 3 times. Twice with other investigators and once by myself at night.
By yourself By myself.
At night. At night.
Pitch dark?
Oh yeah, it was very dark. It's the middle of nowhere, and when you're at the actual Mary Ellen Spook Farm site during the day, it's like you've traveled back hundreds of years because you can't hear traffic, you can't see traffic, you're about 2 miles back in the woods.
And there's no cell service or anything.
There's
I've heard that service just drops.
It does, yes.
When you get there.
Yeah. With the Mary Ellen Spook Farm, all of the stories mention when this was happening to the family about a black dog that they saw on the farm.
Oh God, don't do not
I was
tell me
walking back out with an investigator, and she turned around abruptly to say, could you get any closer to me? Because she felt breathing on the back of her neck and was convinced that it was me. Now, to get back there is very overgrown. It's basically one walking path for the woods, and it's almost gone by now. It'd be impossible to find it if you don't know what you're looking for. And I had stopped about 500 meters behind her because when we were walking out, she got ahead of me, and I heard something in the woods, and don't know what it was I saw, but it was black. It wasn't a bear or anything of that nature, but I did see and hear something, so I stopped to just see what it was. She continued on and then felt breathing on the back of her neck.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh man, that's terrifying. That's crazy that you went there. I've always wanted to go there. Because growing up, I've always heard the story. I'm 30, but I used to hear about it when I was younger. Yeah. And it's just one of those stories that sticks. It stuck with me for some reason.
Yeah.
That one? I don't know why. What's your guys' favorite, I guess, maritime ghost story or favorite location that you've done? in terms of like if you could pick one?
If I could pick one, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we go on so many investigations, and there's always one that I'll go on one and be like, oh, that was a bomb. That was the best one I've fucking been to. And then I go on the next one, and it'd be like 10 times that. What happened? And I'm like, oh, fuck, no, that was it. It was even better than the other one. So it's to be honest, it's hard to pick just one.
It's like picking between your kids.
No, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
You can't do that,
I can't do it, no.
Yeah, I feel the same way with my podcast episodes. I'm like, that one was the best. No, this one was the best.
Yeah, no, it's hard. But, I mean...
It's a hard one.
I mean, if I was really to boil down and think about it, I'd have to say Lewisburg is, by far...
Would you say that was, like, the scariest one that you've done?
The scariest one I'd done was probably out in Hants County.
Okay.
With the church you was talking about. We were out... we used to go there quite a bit. And I was out there one night. And when I first started... Me and Earl first started getting everything going on, he said, we'll go out to the church and we'll start investigating out there. So that's okay. So we went out there and started investigating. And... a girl, I don't know how old she was. I thought it sounded like she was just a young girl by the name of Emma. Kept coming up on her spirit box, which we'll probably show later.
Oh my god, I get to see a spirit box. I don't think you guys realize how much I'm geeking out right now.
So I kept asking, Emma, are you here? And she would talk off and on, and it wasn't direct conversation. It was just hi.
But she said her name, Emma?
Yeah, and she'd say Emma. I say, Emma, who? And I always say, this Darcy is, who's here with us? When I first started, I said, who's here with us? And I'd say, Emma. So then I knew I had a name to come to every time I went out there. So every time I go, I say, is Emma here? Emma, it's Darcy, are you here? And she'd come back saying, hi.
Oh my god.
So one night we were out there, and we get out there, and I said, Emma, are you here with us? I said, it's Darcy, I'm here to talk to you. And she said, I'm here. I said, are you happy that I'm here? And at this time, which Earl didn't tell me afterwards, after we get this all done, I asked, Emma, are you here? And what came over her spirit box made me to the point where I was just like, you know what? I gotta go. I can't do this. This is just way too much for me. A male voice, a dark male voice, came over the spirit box in one full sentence, not breaking up words, a full sentence, came over and said, why does he want to know that? And I looked at Earl and I said, I don't know about you, but I'm fucking out. That was it.
I'm done.
Yeah, so that was scary. Because, even you heard it yourself.
Yeah. Well, because if the investigators and the investigation, it must have been pretty...
And then after we got outside and regrouped and that, he told me afterwards that 2 weeks after us being there, or 2 weeks before us being there, they deconsecrated the church. So it went from a holy ground to a non-holy ground. So we think that the energy that was out there had the border around it as, like a border because it was a holy ground. Once this holy ground was taken away from the church, it was just a haunted building that all the evil energy could get in as much as possible without no boundaries. Damn. Yeah.
So that leads me to another question. Right?
Okay.
As investigators, you guys must know when to call it quits. Like, when you're picking up on something that is too negative to deal with, right? Uh-oh! Or no, you just keep pushing it.
I keep pushing it.
Yeah, so
you're one of those?
Yeah, and that's why usually...
I like it.
Usually, if areas are negative, I go out by myself, usually, as well. I've been followed several times. I've seen things in my house. Negative energies, it tends to remember you. How many times would you say my name's called through a spirit box or just a bare audio file?
I would say, if you say on an 8 hour, or say a 3 or 4 hour investigation, it wouldn't be nothing for Earl's name to be called, say, 20, 25 times.
So do you think you're prone to being, like, attachments? Is that the right word, attachment?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not a possession.
No.
It's just certain energies attach themselves to an individual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And
that's you.
That would be me, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But
you won a really messed up lottery.
Yeah. No, I usually, most of the investigations that I focus on are darker ones or demonic ones.
Love it. Love it.
And, it's, I've gotten my name called all of the time, usually. It's actually, a lot of the time, the same voice.
Yeah, it's usually the same voice that we pick up on.
And it's a very deep male voice. And yeah, we get my name a lot of the time, even if I'm not present at the time. My investigators have gotten my name over the recorder.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Have you ever been scratched?
Yes. Both of us have.
No way.
Yeah. In my house.
No. And so you just kind of all of a sudden feel a, like, almost like, kind of like a cat scratch, like a burning sensation on your skin kind of thing? Or have you actually felt it happen?
No, I never felt it happen. What happened was one morning I woke up and my daughters were over and my daughter was sleeping in her bedroom and I came home, we were working the bar that night, so I came home and I realized that Land left his bed and went to my daughter's bed. So they were sleeping together, so I said, well, I was going to sleep in Land's bed. So I was laying in Land's bed and I woke up that morning to a fresh scratch, and I don't have fingernails.
No.
As you can tell.
I can see. You
that
do not.
Started here and went all the way down, and it was a fresh. And I looked at it and I thought, like I knew exactly what the fuck just happened. I mean, I was obviously scratched because Land's bedroom was also really seen the two spirits.
Oh my God.
So I took a picture of it and I sent it to Earl. I said, check this out. And he sent me a picture back. He said, call me. So I called him and I told him actually what happened. And he's like, that's fucking crazy. He said, yeah. Tell me. I mean, it was a fresh mark. It was a scratch right from the top of my shoulder all the way right down.
He's doing like, it's like across his chest, like diagonally.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's insane. And do you do anything in those moments because I've seen on like Ghost Inventors, like I've seen them get scratched and they usually like sage or they do things afterwards to kind of try to get rid of that energy. Do you guys do that or no?
I do, yeah. I smudge my apartment with sage and sweetgrass almost weekly.
Really?
Yeah, just to keep everything at a pretty calm level.
Even balance kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So Earl is actually wearing a Ouija board shirt. Thoughts on... why didn't I bring a Ouija board for this podcast? That would have been amazing. I didn't even think of that. What are your thoughts on that? Ouija boards.
I also have a Ouija board tattoo.
Oh, damn. You do?
I collect them, especially antique ones, and people from Haunted Nova Scotia will often donate them to me. They don't want them anymore because something happened when they were using it, and I just don't want it around them. So I have a decent collection of them.
No way.
I think that a lot of people shouldn't use them because they're toying with something. They can be dangerous. Not the board itself, but the act of trying to communicate with spirits can be very risky, and that's where like Darcy and I have had things attached to us. Other members of my group have as well, and that's always a real risk. And it can mess up your life pretty badly, especially if you feel that there's something negative in your home and you don't know what to do with it, or do about it, rather.
Right. That's when you ask the question, are you good or bad? And it goes towards the yes. Or it goes to, bad.
But I think with the board, it doesn't matter what kind of board you're using. It can be homemade, it can be antique. It's the act of people collectively trying to communicate with the spirit world.
Right.
And a lot of the time, I don't think that they're communicating with what they think they are. Most people use a Ouija board when they want to talk to a loved one. And I always tell people that, there's no reason why the spirit of your loved one would still be here. And a lot of investigators, and I'm one of them, feel that anything that you communicate through the board is very chaotic, messed up spiritual energy. It could be people that don't know they've died. It could be something darker and more demonic that, will try and trick people. So it's something that people should
be cautious of.
I don't say stay away from altogether because...
I do.
Oh, really? So it wouldn't have worked if I had a Ouija board tonight.
If you would have put the Ouija board on the table, I'd have been said, sorry, I'm done.
Really? So did you have an experience with the Ouija board that was really that made you kind of just turned off from it? Yeah.
It was just a bunch of us were, having beers one night and they brought one out, and it used to be about 15 years ago, and they started playing around with it. It was just, when you get an off feeling on something. So they're asking questions that, And they kept saying, I kept going back to Z-O, and I said, no. I knew exactly what that meant, and I said, no, fuck this, I'm done.
Should be, I'm not going to say it.
No, but they kept going back and forth with it, and I mean, it might have been them doing it, I don't know.
That's the thing with Ouija boards, it's really hard to tell.
But, I mean, like I said, I don't knock it, don't get me wrong, I think they're great, they're fantastic pieces, but they're fantastic pieces away from me.
Right, damn. Because even if someone was messing with you, that would be enough to...
Yeah.
That would be enough to make you not want to play it again.
Yes, yeah.
I've often been told by... here's a question. What are your guys' thoughts on psychics?
I think that everybody's born with some degree of psychic ability, and some people are more naturally gifted in the same sense that some people are born more naturally gifted towards sports than other people. It's just, but I do believe that everybody's psychic to some degree. Mm-hmm. I think that if you want to go see a psychic, do your research. Yes. There are a lot of frauds out there. Oh, yeah. And that are very skilled at doing cold reading, so they will research you online. They will watch your face very carefully for any tells.
Yes. They're like master manipulators.
They are. And again, I'm more of a believer that people should have faith that their loved ones, if that's who they're trying to contact, are in a better place and that they're not really reachable. So I don't really, and I'll probably anger some people, but I don't approve of psychics charging what they do for people, especially if they've lost a loved one.
No, that's right.
You know what? That's a
firm believer.
That's a good point.
And
firm believer. Yeah.
Now I do know several mediums that are the real deal. Mm-hmm. But many people see shows like the Long Island Medium.
Oh yeah.
Shows like that, and because everybody truly is psychically gifted in some sense, they might notice something and then, play off it and put a lot of stock in the snake oil salesmen that are just going to, I don't believe that people can do readings by phone.
What's with that? How the heck can they?
I don't understand it and I don't approve of it, especially because the number one customer for psychics is usually somebody that's grieving, that misses their loved one, and it might not even be a recent loss, but they might be going through a breakup and they don't have their mother with them anymore, and they want advice from their mother. And then I've gotten a lot of messages from Haunted Nova Scotia that they've contacted a medium over the phone and it made the problem worse. So I would say do your research. Now there is websites like the Canadian Organization of Psychics where these are people that have been tested and that are believed to be the real deal. And so definitely don't go with just somebody that thinks they're psychic. Do your research if you want to see a medium.
Right.
And, again, always trust that your loved ones that are deceased are in a better place. Mm-hmm. And that, that you shouldn't need a third party to communicate with them.
And that leads me to exactly why I asked you this. Because I've gone to a couple psychics. I tend to just treat myself once a year.
Yeah.
Just want to find out if I'm dying alone or not. So far, it's looking pretty good to die alone. But almost every single psychic I've been to has been like, you are able to communicate with ghosts. It's just you haven't tapped into it yet. And which is a weird thing for multiple psychics to tell me all the same thing, which is that I do have this gift that I just haven't tapped into it. And I think it's because I'm literally scared to. But at the same time, in terms of deceased loved ones, my grandmother is probably the closest to me that died. And I'm just kind of, the stance I kind of take on it is, if she wants to talk to me, she can talk to me, but I don't want to bug her. Yeah. That's just kind of the stance I take. It's there's nothing I want to know, or it's kind of what you said, trust that they're in a better place.
Exactly.
And I think some people get so almost addicted to the fact that they can potentially talk to the deceased loved ones that keep doing it, and they don't actually let go.
That brings me back to the Ouija board. It can be quite addictive when people are a lot of people use them alone.
Right.
And a lot of people use them in groups. But once you start actually communicating in any way with the spirit world, you have to have an off switch. You can't get overly obsessed with this. There have been times that I've taken years off from investigating.
Really?
And there have been times that I've told members of my group, just you need to field calls and do investigations because I just need a break from it because it can be a bit too intense at times.
Emotionally draining?
It can be. And again, because I focus mainly on the negative side of things, it can be very emotionally draining and spiritually draining. And I've had mediums that I trust that have told me that there are some serious things attached to me.
Really?
And one of my tattoos is actually one of my attachments, and everybody that sees it says, why the hell would you ever get that tattooed on you? And I think Darcy felt this way too, but it's my way of acknowledging that this is an attachment that I have that nobody seems to be able to help me to get rid of, and it's actually...
Oh my god, stop!
That tattoo.
I'm almost going to take pictures of your tattoos.
But that's my acknowledgement that that's part of the process.
You've seen that?
Yes.
You've seen that?
Yes,
and like, just to describe to people, it looks like a demon.
Yes. And
that's how I can describe it. Like,
yeah.
Are there horns?
There are. It goes all around my shoulder, so.
Well, that's not someone you want in your life.
No. And Darcy would agree that people freak out over that tattoo.
Oh yeah. I mean, we go on investigations and that, and you see people staring at him. And I'm thinking, okay, and then I'm just waiting. I'm like, okay, the questions are going to start here in a few minutes, and I guarantee it's not going to anything to do with paranormal. They're going to ask him why he has that on his
tattoo.
Shoulder.
Yeah.
And 9 times 10, there's always somebody in the crowd that will say to Earl, "You shouldn't have got that tattooed on your arm." It's like
your mother.
Yeah, my mother. Yeah. No, my mother likes to fucking dope too. So what can I say?
Hopefully, she isn't listening to this. But
yeah, really.
But no. Yeah, I have. That's an attachment that I usually have dreams about that face, and it's a very quick flash of that face screaming, and that's
terrifying.
And actually, after a dream like that recently, the gentleman that's a very well-known psychic and friend of mine messaged me and said, I had a weird dream that you were in a bad place last night. Are you doing okay mentally and spiritually? Because the college course I'm taking takes its toll. It's very busy. And so he was kind of checking in, but he had a very weird feeling that evening that I might not be doing so well.
Damn.
So we hadn't talked in a while, and I told him just that had popped up again, but otherwise that everything with me was fine.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
he picked up on that energy.
Yeah, and again, he's one of the ones that I trust, and he's not out there in terms of taking clients or anything. Mm-hmm. He's just a friend that I know that he just knows. Mm-hmm. He's a very gifted medium.
Damn. Okay, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Okay. But I have a question that I just thought of. I keep thinking of questions, so sorry guys for bombarding you. I'm so fascinated by it, and I'm so excited you're here. This is amazing. This is the most perfect Halloween episode. Has it ever come out in you in that, like, I watch these shows sometimes where one of the investigators will just something will turn in them, and they get either really dark all of a sudden, or they get violent, or they get... Has that ever happened? Have you ever been, I don't want to say the word possessed because that might not be the right word, but like it happens, then you snap out of it kind of thing? Has that ever happened to either one of you?
One thing that did happen to me that I've never been able to explain, and I do believe it was a partial possession. I was in the military for 6 years, and for 3 of those years I was stationed at CFB Wainwright in Alberta, and that's that used to be a prisoner of war camp for captured German officers. And actually, the exterior of the base, they still have the original guard towers as an outdoor museum. And it's one of the most negative bases that I've ever been to. It had a very high rate of suicide, of drug abuse, of murders. When I was there, somebody took saved rounds from the live fire range and decided to start shooting at the military police station. And again, of course, he still had his rifle because staff believed that there was no live ammunition on anybody. Fighting in that town, tempers flare instantly in Wainwright when I was there. It was just a very negative place. And in the building, in the room I was staying in, I always felt watched. In fact, I used to sleep in a common area on a couch when my roommate wasn't there because I didn't like it in there. And it was to the point that I contacted the last couple guys that stayed in that room, and they said, yeah, I always felt off there too. One day I was in a common bar area of the base, and I don't remember this happening. I don't know what it was. I don't have post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't go to Afghanistan or anything like that, or any war zones. But I was in a common area on my laptop, and friends at the other end of the bar that were just hanging out playing pool saw me get up and walk out of the bar, and they knew something was wrong because the way they described it, it wasn't even how I walk. It was
like an angry walk.
It was just a completely different gait. I looked completely different to them. And I don't remember this happening, but I walked through the building and out the front door to the very end of the parking lot by the street. When I came to, my fingers were burning because I had lit a cigarette when I got outside, and I smoked it to the point that it was burning my fingers. And when my friends caught up with me wondering, because they knew I was on my laptop, so their first thought was I had gotten bad news from somebody back home. Right. And I was upset, and that they needed to make sure I was okay. And they found me at the end of the parking lot, and I was muttering very fast under my breath, and one of the guys said it sounded German. I don't remember. I came to. I smoked a cigarette so far down that my fingers were burning and blistering, and I hadn't dropped it. One of them actually had to say, "Earl, you're burning yourself, man. What the fuck is wrong with you?" Right. And there was a member of the staff on the base that I didn't know that also asked him, "What the hell is wrong with that guy?" Because apparently I came out and just completely ignored him and almost knocked him down the stairs, and then I was just standing there at the end of the parking lot.
Just like very not typical behavior.
Yeah, and I've never been able to explain that, but I do know that the energy on that base was unbelievably negative.
So you don't really remember it happening at all?
I don't remember anything.
Damn.
I remember getting a beer and sitting down on my laptop. I played an online game called EverQuest 2 back then. And I remember just sitting down, and then I was outside. My hand was burnt, and my friends were frightened. And that's when I started panicking because I couldn't explain what had happened to me. It was just... There's no memory of that occurring. Wow. And again, like I hadn't been to Afghanistan. I hadn't seen anything traumatic in a war zone. High stress of military training, but you get used to that and you learn to thrive on that. Right. And this was just a switch that flipped, and it's never happened since. And I even went to the base doctor and told him about it. And I didn't know at the time if I'd had a stroke or if something was seriously wrong with me, but everything checked out and it's never happened again.
Never happened again.
So I do believe possession can happen. And to get to your original question, yes, there is mood changes often, especially if an investigation is negative or you have an attachment. And the biggest telltale thing that if one of my investigators tells me about freaking out or crying or being depressed after investigations, I'll recommend that they smudge, and then, I'm always open for them to leave the group for a while if they have to, or just take a break from investigating.
Take a break, yeah.
But
have you ever snapped at each other because of any?
We're like brothers, energy? So not really, but I wouldn't say so, no.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever snapped at each other, no.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably, a lot of people are probably thinking that we would in this situation. But I think we're our boundaries, so, we've been doing this now for 5 years, 6 years, 8 years. I don't know how long it's been?
Over 5.
Over 5, yeah. So we've been doing this for long enough now that we can put up our guard.
Yes.
And, listen, we're here. Mm-hmm. We're doing our thing. Try and come into us. I mean, there's been times where, you walk through, we've gone through places and all of a sudden you hit coal patch.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, is that something trying to go into your body? I've had them come in, I've had like cold, all of a sudden, like my body be completely in goosebumps, frozen. 30-degree weather, be completely frozen. Excuse me.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's things like that. But as for attitude change, no, I didn't have no.
It's almost like
nothing like that.
It's probably more likely to happen to someone like you.
Yes, it is.
You are opening yourself up in a way.
Yes,
because like you said, you kind of like doing the more. Is like the right
word? Yeah, it is.
You go towards those more negative situations.
I do, and I do it for my own curiosity as well as to be able to have an understanding of what people are going through if they're going through the same thing. And I enjoy life. I do find ways to get away from the paranormal even on a daily basis. Good. I love hiking with my dogs. I love the course I'm taking in school. So it's all about an even balance.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that there's been a lot of times where I have had to stop what I'm doing to go for a hike with my dogs to lighten my mood because whether it's paranormal or just stress, I don't know, but I'll suddenly find myself overly angry about something that I would normally think, that's not a big deal. And like an example would be if I wanted a coffee and then realized I was out of K-cups, and instead of thinking, well, that sucks, I would be in a complete rage. And then, but I've gotten to the point where I've realized, okay, that's not normal. Like I need to go for a walk and take my mind off that.
Unwind.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of the time I'll take breaks, periods of time away from the paranormal.
Damn. Well, I think that's totally necessary.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the deal with orbs?
If
that's your call.
Yeah. I don't know. I think now there's so many things in photographs that look like orbs. I don't even know where the idea of spirit orbs came from. But dust, bugs, pollen, pet dander, and flash photography can all look like orbs. Now, I would say when we're investigating, if we get a photo of an orb or a video of an orb, we only credit that as being paranormal if something major happens along with that.
Right.
Now, a perfect example is we were in the church that Darcy was talking about, and we saw on the video an orb fly right down into the spirit box. Now, it could have been a bug, but we also, at the same time, got a very relevant answer to a question when that happened.
So then, in that case, it's more
credible, definitely.
More credible.
Yeah.
And I think video, too, over photo? Like, if you see an orb that's moving?
Yeah, definitely in some cases.
So the reason I asked that was because I put in my status, I'm learning about paranormal investigations tonight. If you have any questions, someone just wrote, orbs are bullshit. That's what someone wrote.
9 times out of 10, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Interesting. But that's part of what, and I think that's what I want people to understand is like, that's part of what you do is debunking things like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
so
for
you
sure.
look at all the factors involved.
Yep.
And you say, based on this evidence, we can.
And some people get angry. Darcy and I were in, I forget where it was in Dartmouth, but, they were convinced that their house was haunted, and
Arbor Lake Road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, their wiring in their apartment was so poor that we were about 5 feet away from the wiring, and it was giving us headaches, giving us like a heavy feeling in our chest, and our meters were off like the scale because electricity was leaking into their apartment.
Oh.
And that can also make you feel the same way that some people that are in legitimately haunted places feel, where they can feel a bit paranoid. They might feel something's watching them, dizziness, heaviness.
Yeah.
And we told them, like, talk to your landlord because this isn't safe. And when we told them honestly, we haven't gotten any paranormal evidence, but, we have gotten evidence that you have a very bad problem with your life.
You need to get an electrician.
Yeah, they were very angry with us. Yeah.
Damn. Okay, one last question, and then I want to get into the equipment stuff, because I'm so excited to see a spirit box. Like, you have no idea. If you could go to one haunted location in the world, anywhere in the world, you have a free trip, where would you go?
Bobby Mackey's Music World.
Yes! Oh my god! Oh wait, where's my bell? Oh, normally I have a bell.
I was looking at that and wondering.
Yeah, it's a joke bell. It's like if someone makes a good joke, you ding it. But no, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Because I've watched 2 Ghost Adventure episodes there.
Yeah.
That place is crazy.
Yeah, and I intend to go there once I graduate my course, kind of as a gift to myself. Damn. Members of my group are welcome to come with me, but I'd rather do it by myself all night.
You would?
Yeah, I'd still do it by myself. I'd have no problem with it.
You would... So, and do they legitimately let people spend the night there?
They have tours.
Special.
You would probably have to pay for it. Right. But probably, especially where we're a business and we would be promoting them, they would probably agree to let us stay there or me stay there. But
it's not like an Airbnb
situation. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What about you? Where would you go?
Bobby Mack would be on the top of the list
for you too. Yeah.
But if per se it never worked out, I couldn't go there. I'd probably go to Eastern State Penitentiary.
Yes. Oh, I know that one too.
Yeah.
I love this so much. You guys are speaking my language. I know that place as well. Where's that again?
That is in Pennsylvania, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if your viewers seen it, but it was on Ghost Hunters.
Okay. Yeah.
They had a camera set up there, and they actually showed a shadow person walk towards them and then walk away. And if you look closely, the walkway was all rusted out, so there's no possible way that somebody could get up there. So when I seen that, I thought, I'm fucking going there.
I'm going there. Yeah. Let's see if I can find a YouTube clip of that, maybe link to it or something. Do you know where I would go? And you guys probably know this place too. The forest in Romania.
Yeah, I'd love to go there.
Oh my god, let's go. Let's go. I want to go right now. That's awesome. Okay, so let's get into this equipment stuff. So typically on a normal investigation, what would you take with you?
It varies. It varies depending on the location because, I have way too much gear. I'm obsessed with putting money into this. And in fact, there was a lot of times, my ex-girlfriend would be like, oh, a package showed up. How much did you pay for that? And I'd have to kind of hide the invoice and say, well, not very much. I just bought it used and then pray that she didn't see.
It's for school.
Exactly.
It's for school. It's all good.
I would say we always have spirit boxes with us, EVP recorders,
K2 meters.
So now let me see if I can get this straight. So the spirit box, that's the one that makes the noise and then voices come through it.
Yes.
A EVP recorder is essentially just
a recorder.
Like you're just recording essentially white noise. Like you're asking questions and you're recording it, and you will listen back.
Yep. You'll put it in software.
If you hear anything.
Yep, exactly. But you don't hear anything at the time.
You don't hear anything at the time. And then what was the other one you mentioned?
K2 meter.
Is that the one that like it goes wee, like it lights up?
Lights up. Yep.
Oh, I'm good.
It goes from green right up to red.
And what else is there? The flashlight? Is there?
The flashlight, yeah. We have thermal imaging cameras, infrared. That's kind of stuff.
Expensive.
It's more the stuff. That's kind of stuff I work on. Is that stuff there?
The infrared cameras.
Yeah, infrared. And,
so what's one of the best pieces of evidence that you guys have ever picked up on? Would it be that full sentence EVP? Like something like that is really crazy to get, right? Because you get words all the time, but to get a full sentence.
I think.
He's pulling out his phone.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I'm gonna go on here. Like I'm sure you probably mentioned Hunt, Nova Scotia. Let's see if I can find here. That as we're talking about this, there was one that popped up in my mind here that other investigator Warren Roberts picked up as I'm trying to find it here.
Warren's an absolutely amazing investigator.
Oh, okay.
Amazing editor. He's also an amazing musician. He lives in Bedford.
Oh, damn.
He's in the band Pogie.
Yeah.
He also often plays in the Miles Goodwin band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's an amazing, amazing guy. And very talented at what he does with investigating and editing.
That's awesome.
Well, I'll try and describe it to you guys.
Yeah.
Like what it is I wasn't there that night. I was tied up with another thing that happened, which I could have slaughtered my brothers that night, but that's different time, different story. They went to, like I was mentioning earlier, went to a spot Lower Truro Road there that had evil entities in that too. As Warren was walking up the driveway, he had his recorder going, and then you hear what was a male Scottish voice, plain as day, say, away.
Oh. And in a Scottish accent?
In a Scottish accent, yeah.
Oh, my God. That's
and at the time, Warren didn't even hear that. He didn't realize that till after he got back home, went over his audio and realized, like, holy shit.
And that's almost more scary.
Yeah.
The idea that things could be talking around you and you not hear it, and then, like, I'm just waiting for something to pop up on one of my podcasts. Like, I just really want to I want to listen back to this and see if I find anything on the white noise, but damn, that's so freaking cool.
There's one from Lewisburg that an investigator captured that she asked any spirits in chapel at Lewisburg how they died. And when she edited it and played it back in a perfect British accent, we got the file or the phrase, we all were shot.
Oh, that's creepy. Oh my God.
This is one of our clips that we got from Lewisburg, Warren Roberts.
See if we can cut it to the snow.
Let's see if we can get it going here. This is Warren you hear talking now.
Okay, just reading 66.6. That's me.
That's you.
Just turned on the EM pump in hopes of inciting some activity. Just, what was that? If you are here, come on. Make yourself known to us here. If you want us to go, you're going to have to let me know. Otherwise, we're just going to sit here. Jesus.
That's creepy. Damn!
Yeah.
Okay. Can I see the spirit box?
Sure. First, I want to show you, this is where Warren recorded the word away. This is the same location. This was taken years before this. But the photographer taking this, and I can send this if you want to put this on your site.
I would love to.
Felt very, very weird and wanted to leave. And right in front of that tree, you'll see a shadow person.
Oh my God. Yes, I can see that. I saw that right away too. Sometimes with these pictures people post, I'm like, where is it? But no, I see that right away. That's creepy.
And she didn't see that at the time.
Oh my God. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and that's definitely a negative area that we go back to investigate to see if we can get more evidence. When she felt creeped out, as she was leaving, she took another photo, and in this, you can see that it was closer to her.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
So it had followed her to make sure she was leaving, and that's an ongoing investigation, and if you're ever in Peru, you're welcome to go with us.
I would freaking love to. That would be my dream. I love stuff like this.
My back, Darcy?
Yeah, okay, so I'm living out one of my dreams right now. And it's crazy because when you watch the shows, you don't always think you'll ever see that equipment in real life. You know what I mean? Like, that's a legit spirit box. That's exactly what they use on Ghost Adventures, which is like a really big time show. Like, it's all the same equipment.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the same equipment. How much would a spirit box cost if I wanted to buy one?
$100?
Oh, is that it? They're not that bad?
A little bit less.
And what's usually the first question that you ask? Like, are there any spirits in here?
Yep, that can be a good one to start with.
Oh my God.
So basically, you turn it on, and it scans radio frequency and white noise.
Right.
Now, we scan at 100 milliseconds in reverse, and in that way, if there's any phrases that actually come through, that's pretty impossible for it to be radio frequency or anything else. Now, because we're in Halifax, we're going to get a lot of radio frequencies from all of the different stations. So
that's right.
We only really credit anything that's relevant.
Yeah.
So we'll give it a try and see if we hear anything.
Give it a try.
Turn it up a bit more, and then we should be good to go. Is there anything here with us? If you're in here, can you tell me your name? Can you say that again for me?
How many spirits are here with us right now?
Is that radio?
Yeah, there's a chance it might be radio coming through.
I heard something at one point.
I thought I heard 4 at one point.
Oh my God!
4. Is there any male spirits here with us?
Something said hello.
Yeah.
If you really want to impress us, could you touch that bell? It's in the center of the table, and all you have to do is this. Would you run if it went flying off the table?
I would die. I don't suspect that the spirits in here are that gutsy.
Yeah.
Who's here with us right now?
It's weird because I hear I hear music coming through, but
Yeah.
then I hear the occasional little
Little
voice. Yeah.
Now what we can do, this is also a device that we use a lot of the time. It's a REM pod.
Okay.
And it's going to, it's something that spirits can communicate
Okay.
through and with. And what I can do is put it on this table over here.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is actually, a lot like Darcy was saying with flashlights, we'll investigate, we'll invite them to touch it, to manipulate it in some way.
Yeah. So if that does anything over there,
Yeah.
we know that it might be something else.
So if you are in here, can you go towards that red light beside the candle?
The equipment that you see here won't hurt you. It's just for us to communicate with you.
Can you tell me your name?
Oh, Jerry.
What?
Yeah,
I thought it was Jerry or Aaron.
It didn't sound like radio.
No, that was a male voice. I thought it said Jerry.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I have to not freak out. I need to stay composed. I would not make it on your team. I'm too excitable.
Is your name Jerry?
Is your name Aaron?
It sounded like yes.
Oh my god.
Are you very close to here?
Same voice popped out twice here. Who are you?
It's all radio.
But it's weird because you can definitely tell what's radio and what's not radio.
Yeah.
Now the other device that we use, and different shows also use it, like Ghost Adventures uses it, is Echo Box.
Okay.
Yes.
Which runs through any app, and it's basically loaded with syllables and monosyllables that humans speak in different language, and it all scans at different speeds. It's a lot like the Spirit Box that we were just using, but
I heard that thing chirp.
if you touch that, can you please touch that again?
If you want us to put the speaker box back on, just give that a touch and we'll put it back on for you.
Do you want to talk to us? If you do, can you please touch that?
My cat is looking right at that fucking box right now.
All you gotta do is go close to that machine again. It won't hurt you.
That went off on its own, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
So when that beeps like that, is that something?
Yeah, that's letting us know there's something in around that area that's setting that off.
Who are we talking to? You heard that, didn't you?
What did he say?
Hat Man.
No! Oh, no!
Did you hear that?
I thought it was hap. I thought he said hap. I thought it was hap something, but hat.
Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
If you did say Hat Man, can you touch my arm?
Just go towards that red light again, like you did the first time.
Can you say Sarah's name? Can you tell me your name?
Was that Caroline?
It could have been, yeah.
Sound like.
Oh my god.
Can you say my name? Earl?
Multiple voices.
Sounded like leave right now.
Yeah. Why should we leave?
Can you touch that device again on the coffee table?
Is there someone named Aaron here?
Is there anything that you want to communicate to us? Pretty quiet, but I can't explain why that would go off only
Is that
once.
normal to have that many?
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say before we turn this off? That's weird because there's no static like there is a Ghost Box. There's no static loaded on this software. It's all syllables and monosyllables.
Right.
So when we do hear that, we usually think that it's something trying to communicate.
Right.
And again, like at the time during investigations, we always tell ourselves and other people too, like a lot of the time, you don't hear anything until you get it loaded on a computer with headphones and actually get to listen to it.
Right.
And if you do want to go on an investigation with us and actually use all of the equipment sometime, we can also, you can be part of the editing process, so you'll get the whole experience of what it's like to do this.
Yes, please.
So we always, especially at events, tell people not to get too disappointed if they don't notice anything or hear anything. Because a lot of the time we will hear it in editing phase where we're going over all of the evidence.
Should we take a quick just audio recording? Like we can even use these mics maybe.
Yeah, sure. These will work perfectly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So should we just ask some questions?
Sure.
And you guys do your thing, because, I got tons of questions for ghosts, but I don't want to know if you've been seeing what I've been doing in this apartment or what, but I'm just going to be quiet and sit back.
What was that?
Did you hear
I heard
something?
that too in the kitchen.
Knocking?
Stop.
No, I did hear something. Where's your cat? Because that's the first thing I was wondering, where cats are great for jumping up on stuff and making noise.
But the kitchen is where stuff's happened in that kitchen.
Yeah, I heard her put 2 knocks.
Like, I'll be here with friends, and, that will just happen all of a sudden. We'll be like...
Okay, it also could be someone in the hallway, but if you made a noise in the apartment, can you do that again for me? Can you blow one of the candles out? Or ring that bell? Touch Darcy or I? If you go close to this red light, it'll light up and make a noise like that. Can you do that for me?
You turned it on there a little while ago. Can you do it again for us?
Now, that can be influenced by a cell phone signal, but what I can't explain is why it would only do it once.
And not
again.
And it did it when we turned off the...
Exactly. So, if it was cell phone signal, I'm sure all 3 of us have been getting updates, like text messages, Facebook, so that I put it a little bit far away so it's not right beside the phones, but if it was cell phone signal, it would be going off almost continually, you would think, not just the one long tone where it didn't deviate at all, it just went for, what would you say, 15 seconds?
Yeah, but 15
That's a long
seconds.
time.
Yeah.
I hope that...
So when it started was when I turned my back to put my speaker into my case here. I heard it beep right quick, and then that's when I turned around. When I turned around, it was completely lit up, beeping right off.
And again, and for some reason, I find it gets addictive because I think not every investigation we find something.
Yes.
So when things do
Almost
start
a
happening, it's a big adrenaline rush. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And a lot of members have come and gone in my group. They do think that we're going to get evidence everywhere, and it just doesn't work that way.
You know what I would describe it as? It's like whale watching.
Exactly. It's completely random, and sometimes you get really impressed and you get a real treat because this is why we're doing this, is to get evidence, and other times it's still fun because we're a close-knit group, so we like hanging out together.
Oh, yeah.
But you leave thinking that was quiet tonight.
Yeah.
And I don't think you and I have ever gotten down about that. It's always been just the enjoyment of the hobby and sharing it with other people, whether that's through our events or your podcast.
Yeah.
And, if listeners or even you decide, I want to get involved with this, and I don't care if, not every investigation has results. I mean, those are the sort of people we're looking for.
I'm fascinated about
Just people that are interested in joining a group for the long term. We don't really like people coming and going instantly.
No, yeah, that's not what it's about.
But, just if people are interested in meeting, I call us a pretty eclectic group of people.
Yes!
But,
where can people find you? So you have a Facebook page?
Our page is paranormalinvestigationsns.com. If they're on social media, if they just go to Haunted Nova Scotia, there's a couple smaller groups that have a few people that are also called Haunted Nova Scotia, but ours has 15,300 members.
Yeah.
Darcy and I are the administrators, so if people do want to join, and it's taking a while, we close the group so that we can keep out all of the spam and crap like that.
Yeah, I probably get a lot of that.
Yeah, and fake accounts and stuff like that. So, because there's children on the group. Yeah, and even worse than that, there's children on the group, and like the ones that pop up, that then they start putting porn on there, and it's just not something we want children to see.
Damn, of course not.
But join Haunted Nova Scotia. Be patient with us. You'll get approved, obviously.
Right.
But Darcy works. I go to school. So the good thing about it is it goes to our cell phone. So when we get a sec, we'll have a look to make sure you're not a fake account, and we'll approve you. And it's a very safe place for people to share stories. So I always tell people, if you post something and somebody starts mocking you, tag me instantly in it, or Darcy, so that we get a notification and we can deal with the problem. I want this to be a place where people can share their stories and not be mocked. And if it's happened quite a bit, and every time that it does happen, the people that are harassing or mocking people get removed from the group instantly.
They get removed. And another one is the Maritime Paranormal. I think that's the one that I'm in.
Maritime Paranormal, that's run by Justin Wiswell and his wife Erin. I don't know them. I've talked to them quite a bit because all of the bigger groups do communicate. What are you doing this season? What are you guys up to? And especially when we investigate the same places, like Maritime Paranormal's investigated a lot of the same places that we have. We share information. I think right now Maritime Paranormal is taking a bit of a break because none of us are getting paid to do this, so a lot of the time, real life kicks in. Like people have families and school, so right now I think Maritime Paranormal is they're just taking a step back and dealing with the real life stuff that comes up. Nothing bad, but they're just kind of dealing with the real life and everything like that. And
super important.
They're a great group. They have a wonderful website, and I believe they're based mainly out of New Brunswick, so any of your listeners that are interested in that, then there's also another group in Cape Breton, Haunts from the Cape, they're called, and they are primarily in Cape Breton. I believe they're working with CBC in Sydney for Halloween this year, doing something probably at the Fortress of Louisbourg.
That's unreal.
Yeah, so if any listeners are in the Cape Breton area and want to check them out, they're doing a lot of the same things that we are. And in November, we're going to start doing some investigating and holding some events. So
I will stay in touch then. Damn.
Yeah. And we also have a clothing line. Darcy's wearing
I saw
one of the shirts, but
cool. It's so cool. Guys, seriously, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
This was fantastic. Feel free to share this. I'll let you know when it's ready.
Yeah, definitely.
Share it up. Use it as a way to get your audience engaged, because stuff like this is super freaking cool. And people need to know about it, right?
That's right.
And when we do, anything that comes up that you're available, you're definitely an honorary guest. So.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
And, if we do get some stuff, or if you notice stuff, then maybe it can be a second episode for your podcast.
Maybe you guys can come back. Maybe it can be like a bi-monthly.
There you go.
series.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we're always in the area, and we're always very happy to meet new people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm so glad, because when I originally, essentially, I had the idea to do this, and I literally posted in, I think it was one of the groups. It might have been Haunted Nova Scotia. I don't remember where, but I was just like, I'm looking for a paranormal investigator that would be willing to do a podcast, and it was like 5 people just tagged you, like it was just your name, and then you're like, what's this about a podcast? It was perfect. It was. I didn't have to look hard to find you. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. We're always, and other members are always happy. And other members of our group, I should say, are always happy to do stuff like this. It's a great hobby to get into. And just in closing, if any of your listeners are hardcore skeptics, we love skeptics. They keep us honest. If somebody truly doesn't believe in this, then they can definitely come along with us sometime. And the worst thing that'll happen is they might feel like they were validated because nothing happened. But again, I love meeting new people. I'm a journalism student.
Yes.
So I love the public. I love talking to people, and
100%.
we seem to always change people's minds.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's always a believer or two that's, or non-believer, I guess, non-believer or two that's always comes in. But by the end of the night, they're kind of like, well, I don't really know how to explain that. So, I don't know how to explain that. So going from a non-believer to, I'm really confused on how you did that, but with you not standing there, so
you kind of chip away a bit.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of my co-host,
That was me.
Oh my god!
I wish it was.
Oh my heart! My co-host Corey is a skeptic, and I was like, "Do you want?" Because I kind of had a feeling you guys might be open to that. I was like, "Do you want to come on? Like, it might be interesting. Like, get your side, get my side." And he's like, "Nah, I should probably stay away." He's like, he's a real skeptic. So maybe next time we'll get him.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this was great. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
So find them on Facebook and everything, and be sure to reach out if you're interested, and keep in touch and stay up to date with what these guys are doing.
Sounds good, and happy Halloween to everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Yes.
Ring that bell.